thing, Tim, what you need to do is you need to change while you're still early, you could change that quote-unquote Timothy Hayde YouTube account into a channel literally named Luculent How To or Luculent Filemaker.
Right.
Luculent Media does.
Yeah, we could sure do that.
And obviously, we're not going to benefit from the subs that are directly related.
Actually, we are. So, welcome to my stream, everybody. That was Josh in the background, by the way, just in case you were wondering, talking about some interesting things that are going on with Luculent Media and the FileMaker series, so that we can actually attach those with Luculent Media all the way. Yoshimitsu, how the heck are you? So today, what we're going to do is... wow, I have like two chat. Okay, never mind. I got it. So today what we're going to do is we're going to go back through our templates model and we're going to figure out where we are. So right now, here we are on the Luculent Media. This is the page that we created just the other day. We basically have an exit button, a menu button, an invoice button, and nothing else. I mean, we really haven't done anything with this. Now, what I want to do is I want to show you guys a couple of really cute tricks. Some really interesting things that I want to do because this is a template, and we're also going to do the template and some work on our invoice page as well today. So stay tuned for that for sure, Yoshimitsu. Pay close attention. So the very first thing that I want to do is I want to enter the layout mode, and then for this button, what I want to do is we need to add something to this button, right? So we're going to double click it and we're going to say the main menu, right? Exactly, the main menu. That's exactly what we're going to do. So in this particular one, I think we want it to be an accept button. We want it to be a go or execute or whatever. What we're looking for is if you put something in the security box, if you put something in this box right here, the box that says administrator security, and you gotta be able to make something happen when you do that, other than doing a script trigger. Script triggers are okay, they're fine, but I personally myself am not a big fan of regular and continuous script triggers. I like buttons that actually create things. So for this particular one, I guess we'll call it command. And of course, we do need our field picker. And we'll go into our inspector, excuse me, not field picker. We will go into our thing, and we want to find no inner shadow, no outer shadow. Do you guys remember what we were using before? I think it was Bookman old style. And I'm pretty positive it's 24. And so now what we need to do is we need to lessen this to about 2. You could go to 0 if you wanted to. You don't have to have these set up exactly the same as I do. And then our color is obviously a beautiful yellow. No, we are one step less than that, are we not? We are. So if we go here, one step more. We go here, one step more. Obviously, I made these a little too, because what I'm doing is I'm counting the squares. 1, 2, 3, 4 squares up and 3 squares over. And so now they all should be the same. So we know that there are 3 squares over, 4 squares up. That's exactly what we want it to be. Now they're all the same. Now you can have this as command. You can rename it as execute. Whatever you want it to be. I personally like the word execute, so that's kind of cool. Because it makes you think of execute, like execute, right? Are you being cute? No, I'm being execute. I will move this box, the inspector box, over here from time to time, just so you guys can kind of see what I'm doing. Right now, I'm just going to leave it right where it is. But I'm going to do this. This is going to be really, really cool. You guys are going to absolutely love this. So for every single page, so you need to kind of need to know what is going on for each page, right? So we're going to have something called a page label. So what I did was I just typed in the word page label over here, and you can see it. Like it's way over there. I can't reach quite that far because my hand disappears. See, like that, it just disappears. So we're going to take the page label and we're going to click on it so that we get the dot and the lines, right? And then we're going to change it to our Bookman old style because I like to kind of keep things in the same vein. And I want to go with 24. You know what? 24 is not big enough. I think I'm going to go with 48. To go with 48. That 48 sounds good, right? And now what I want to do is I want to extend it. I want it to be relatively long. Relatively long. And now if I right click on it instead of left click, I can go into arrange and I can rotate it. But it's kind of weird the way that rotated it, right? So we'll go back, we will arrange, and we'll rotate it again. And now it's upside down. And we'll arrange, and we'll rotate it one more time. And now it is, I need to, let's see, what do I need to do? I want to align it with the bottom. And I want it to be just underneath the red line. So now we now have a page label, which is kind of cool, the way that it's set up, right? It's like over there just a little bit. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to throw it over here in the middle for now because I want to put it right here, right where these are. So I'm going to go ahead and move these over, but I want to leave a little bit of a space between these so that we know that there's something different. And now if we click on this, we can bring it over here. We can line it up, and we have, you can see that I've crossed the invoice lock, but that's fine. The invoice lock, that's absolutely fine. So now when you need to label your page, all that you have to do is come in and click on this. If you double click on it, and you'll see it kind of goes up like that, and I can just write, I can backspace, and I can write layout, label, so I can change whatever's written in there. And then if I click off of it, it automatically goes right back to where it was, where I actually placed it. And now I can take these boxes and I can move them back over where I feel more comfortable with a space in between. So now when you are on this page, you know, like in your store, you'll have like a list. You'll say this page is, you know, like in my store, what I do, the different things that I do is I've got like, you know, drinks. So this could be drinks. I have coils and mods and tech stuff and electronics and other things like that. So you could have this page be electronics. That way the user can understand where they are in the make of things, so that especially if you're having 100 different pages or 200 different pages or 500 different pages that you are going to visit or your user is going to visit, this gives you an opportunity to label that page so that the user knows where they are. So I think I'm pretty satisfied with this. There are a few other things that I really want to do, and one of those is I want to create a popover button. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here where these line up with each other, and I'm going to make it the exact size. So now you can see this is kind of a very unique thing because it's pretty cool, right? It's pretty cool. So the popover button, we want it to say absolutely nothing. So we're just going to delete the word popover. And now you can see it says absolutely nothing. But I want, the odd thing is this button is not quite perfect, is it? Now it is. Now it is absolutely perfect. And we need it to be lined with a solid line that's a 0.2 or 2 points, whatever. And we're going to go with that beautiful purple or magenta color again. So now if we're on this and we move it, You can see, ta-da, there it is. It's exactly in the right place. So this button, we will go ahead and move it inside of our box. And then we'll move our popover button exactly where it needs to be. Let's close this so we can get it exactly where it needs to go. Okay, so now we have the top one is a popover button. So when you go into that, you can actually click on it, and voila, now you actually have a popover. Now the popover works well for speed things. But I'm going to hold the control button, and I'm going to move this over so that I actually have two of them. But I want to get them like perfect. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to just delete these. And I'm going to grab, let's do this. This is going to be fun, guys. This is going to be fun. So I made it bigger. And I'm going to press and hold the left click button, and I'm going to grab 6 of these. And then I'm going to press the control button, and I'm going to grab these 6 and move them over here. And now they're exactly the same as the ones that are actually on the page. So now I can go ahead and move these over, move this stuff over here where I want it. If you guys have ever watched any of my other videos, you guys will know that I'm really big into making my popovers and my other stuff like really unique, something pretty cool. So here I'm going to go ahead and put in a text. And in my text button, what I want to do with that is I want to label it, because I want to put a label on the bottom. I want it to be something like unique. So what we're going to do is right now I'm just going to name it Popover label. And if I click off of it, as you see, it did wake up and it did do what it's supposed to do. We'll go to Bookman Old Style. I want it to be at least 24. I'm going to put it right dead in the center. I'm going to go ahead and move these to where they're right dead in the center too. And so now I have this popover label. But I want to go ahead and I want to pull these arms out. See, I pulled the arms out so that they match the edges of the box. The reason why I did this is because I can go in and center my text, align my text. And now if I name it something else, or let's say I decided, you know what, this is not it's not spelled correctly, so I want to delete it and I want to change it. Now it says pop over level or label, or I just want to go back and say, you know, I really just want this to be per label. You could do that, and it's always going to be in the center, but you've given yourself enough space that you can actually write something in there and change it on all of them, and you're goal to go. Now remember, I'm doing this on this particular one, so we'll raise it up. I want it to be it's critical that I get this one just right. So now we're in the appearance of this, and we can change this to none. The background, this background, so it colors it so that it's nothing. And we're going to make the line a 2 because 2 lines are thick and you can read them, and they just tend to work better. So 0.2 lines, they're very, very thick. So if you really want to define something, that will give it to you. And you can actually change that. If we click on these again, you can change it to a brilliant red color if you wanted to. So now it will stand out red, as you guys can see in the video. So now we have our per label. I like the color of that. I like the way that works. I like that whole piece. So now what I need to do is go ahead and close that down. And I need to erase. So I need to get, if I need more of them. Now this whole set of buttons, that's what it was designed to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight this one, delete it, highlight this one and delete it, and highlight the bottom one and delete it. Notice I did every other one. And the reason why is because now when I grab this one and I hold the control button and I move it, it'll give me a perfect center. So I can be exactly where I want to be every time. And now you know that this one is bad, so we'll delete it. And this one is bad, so we can delete that one. And now if we do this, bring all of these into focus. Oh, come on. There we go. Oop. It was in the wrong place. It's weird. All right. So now we have it, and if we go ahead and close and we exit the layout, now if we push this button, we all of a sudden have all these labels. We push this button, and we have all these. We have all of these places and things that we can do, and we can set those up to wherever we want to. And obviously, we can't do anything on the quantity, nothing on the administrator, because we haven't created anything yet. We haven't told it to do anything yet. And I'm drinking my coffee. It's still early in the morning for me. But we have this, and it's really super nice. So now what we need to do is, I'm really, really, really liking this. What we can do is, if we wanted to, we could add a red line here if you wanted to. Just dress it up, make it like different, make it better, make it whatever you want. If you wanted to, you could grab all of this stuff. We have to go back into the edit layout mode. So you could grab like all of this stuff, and if you just press the shift button, you can add other things to it. And then you could move like all of this wherever you want to. We don't want to move it, so we're going to just press Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. Let's see, where are we at? All right. Just to make sure that we're in the right place. So that's right back to where we wanted it, or right back to where we had it before. So we're good with that. So now what we want to do is, let's work on our layouts. We're going to go to Manage Our Layouts. And as you can see, we have all of these cool layouts. But what I want to do with these is I want to do a new one. And I want to do a new folder. And in my folder, I want to call this my templates. So now, like this menu template would go inside. So if we grab this, we go to these little double things and we come over here, we can actually add it to our templates folder. That way we're going to keep track of every single thing that we do, and all of that stuff will be just right, exactly how we want it to be. Now what we're going to do is, I'm going to copy this, and I'll show you why in just a minute. But if you just click on it and you duplicate it, it will come up, it'll say template menu copy. So for this one, what I want to do is I want to edit, and I want to go into the name. And I want this name to be, let's just say, template and underscore register. Because we're going to be working on the register today, and we want it to show things from the register. And we'll just say OK. Now, if we would have made a new record, or if we would have added more to our template, like more fields or more things to our template, we would have ended up having to deal with those at a later date. So we don't really want to do that right now, right? So let's go to our template menu, or our deal, and we go to template, go to template register, and here it is, exactly the same, but different, right? It's exactly the same, but different. So we do have our invoice lock, and we have our quantity window, and we have our security and administrator and all that other stuff, but these are probably not going to work for us because they're related to a different, they're related to something different. So let's go ahead and manage our database at this point. And what we want to do with our database is we want to go into the register. Register is kind of a big deal. And let's go ahead and start creating some of the things for the register. We want a date, and we want it to be a date. So Control D will create a date. That's this. And we'll go ahead and create that. And now we want an invoice, and we'll just do an underscore, an invoice lock. And the invoice lock is it's going to be a number, so you can just Control N if you wanted to. We are going to need a security box. And I'm just using underscores now to separate them so that I know that these are part of the register. So they're different. So they're all underneath the register. So we have the invoice lock, the security box, the date, the ID, and now comes the crucial thing. What we really need is we need a serial number or invoice number. So let's do invoice underscore number. And this is a large number. So, and this is where it all comes in. Let's double click on this really fast. And we want this to be a serial number. Now I know you guys, this is a small box, and I do apologize for that. Hopefully you guys can kind of zoom in on this. But what I want to do is I want to create this as a very large number. So there's a couple of different ways you can do it. You can either create a bunch of different fields and then have those different fields collect data and then put all that data in together by adding that data together, like in a string. So you could have like the date, and then you could say plus, this other thing plus this other thing, the username plus this, and it'll just create like this long-winded deal. But what I like to do is I like to create in either an 8 or a 10-digit number, because in my lifetime I'm not going to use that many invoices. So unless I'm going to sell like 100 million things, then or 999 million things, I'm pretty okay by putting in 100 million or 899 million. Yeah, that's how many's left, right? So I'll do 1 and then I'm going to basically do 100 million. So there's 1 and then 2 zeros, 3 more zeros, 1, 2, 3, and then 3 more zeros, 1, 2, 3. So now we have a total of 8 zeros and a 1 at the beginning. And so this will now create this serial number every time that we create a new number. Now, when you're doing this, like if we replicate this and we want 2 registers, my second one, what I would do is I would start the number with a 2. So I know it's my second register, and then 8 zeros after that. So now I've got, 8 zeros, 99 million invoices that I can create under that particular invoice section. But for the purposes of this, we're gonna stick with a single register, a single invoicing unit. And if you guys want to know how to do the multiple one, I will let you know. And as a matter of fact, we will delve into that a little bit later on in the series. But this is episode 2, so we're trying to keep it simple, and we just need to make it work for what we want to do. So we now have our date, our invoice lock, our security box, and our invoice number. I think that is probably good. Let's go into our invoice. And of course, in our invoice, we have the register link, which is just basically a number, and it ties all of that stuff in together. Now, some of the things that we're going to need on this is, hi, Vanos, how's it going, Vanos? It's good to see you. So in this particular one, what we're going to want is this is our portal row. This is the place where we're actually going to put in things like a product ID. So we'll quick type in product ID, and that's going to be a number. So we'll just hit the enter because we're still on number. As you guys can see right there, it says number. Right at the end of my finger, right there, number. Right there, number. Okay, just so you guys, so we're not lost, because I can see the screen and I can kind of point to something and you guys can see where I'm pointing, unless I like run out of space and then I'm missing a hand. Oh my God! So no more hand. So we now got our product ID number. We're going to need a price, and that is also a number. We're going to need a quantity, and that is also a number. We're going to need, if you guys sell, or if you need something that's non-taxed, let me know, and I can show you how to do a non-tax thing. So whatever, but that's fine. So then we'll do the state underscore tax. And let's see, you got product ID, price, quantity, sales tax. Let's do product. Better learn how to spell. Product underscore name, which should be like the description. So when you see it, it'll say you bought 3 of this and this, whatever, right? So you get this and this and that. So all of those wonderful, amazing, awesome things. So we now have the price, the quantity, the sales tax, the product name. Now what we need to do is we need to do a total price, right? So because if you buy 2 of them and the price is $1, you now need to charge $2. So we're going to need a total price, or a price total. So I'm going to just go ahead and type in price underscore total. And that is also a number. These are lots and lots and lots of numbers, let me tell you. We're going to do some summaries as well. So we're going to do a price total summary. So we can do price underscore total underscore summary. Learn how to spell. Tim, once again, summary. And that is a summary. And as soon as it catches up, where's it pop? Great. Oh, I was like, what? Where is it at? Okay, so that's going to be, because it's the price total summary, we're going to put it under, it will be a total of the price total. These are cute little things that will really, really, really help out as we're building the system. So if you want to have the state tax, you can actually have a running tax if you want to as well. So like one of the things that we will have is we're going to have a subtotal, which is basically price total summary. But if you wanted to, if you have no tax items or items that are not taxed, like I said, let me know, and we can actually create that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to create what's called a subtotal. Subtotal. And that subtotal is whatever we want it to be, but it's basically a summary of the price totals. Now, what a subtotal would be, so this subtotal is exactly the same thing as the price total summary for the term of this particular thing. But later on, it'll make sense. It's kind of hard. We're talking about cash registers. We're actually talking about business solutions, Vanas. So if you owned a business and you needed to sell a product and you needed the software so you could track your inventory and stuff, that's what this is actually showing you how to do. So we're showing you how to create business solution. Now we can have what's called a grand total, so grand underscore total. And that will actually be a calculation. And that calculation will basically be the grand total. So we're going to need the subtotal, or the total price summary, or the subtotal. And then we need to add that to our state tax, but we need the state tax total. So we're just going to call the state tax total, and we'll call it good. So here we want to do, instead of doing state tax, we're going to do state, let's do this, rate. We're going to call this rate, and it is going to be a number, and we're going to create one. And now what we're going to do is it needs to be specific value. So it'll be 0.05 where I live, because it's data. And so now when we're doing these things, we now know what we're kind of adding all this stuff together. My dad works on a small business. That's amazing. I'm glad to hear that your dad works on a small business. So I think we've now pretty much we've gotten close. We didn't get all of it, and I'm purposefully not going to add that stuff for right now. But let's go in, and we need to start creating some things. So one of the things that I want to do is I want to get rid of all of these, because I don't need not a single one of these buttons. And I'm going to get rid of all of these, because I don't need a single one of those buttons either. Now the invoice lock, we can actually create, because this invoice lock is actually going to be from invoice, and it's going to be from register, current table register, that's where we are, invoice lock. So now we have our invoice lock already set up, everything is good. Our administrator this is a security box. And if we do our regular one, we can go in and there's our security box. So what we've done is you have to make sure that you're using a field that is inside of the table that you're in. So right now, as you can see right here, it says current table register. So now we're changing it to current table register. And we're going to do, because this is our security box, we're going to go ahead and change it to our security box. And now our administrator, we can move and do with this whatever we want to. I'm going to put it over here right underneath this. And the quantity, we don't need the quantity. That does absolutely nothing for us, because in this particular case, quantity does us no good. So we'll just delete it. Now our date, on the other hand, is actually, we have to delete the date because this date window won't let you change where it's from, because we merged the fields. Do you guys remember that we merged the fields? So for this date, we just want to look at the fact that we have it to Homa bold, and it's 18. So, and now that we've got the little lines, we can basically delete it, create a new text, Control M, merges the fields. Notice I just put a little dot up there in the head space. Is what I did was I went to the text tool and I just left clicked on the to start a text, and then Control M, and that's creating a merge field. And that merge field that we want is going to be the date. It's going to say, it's usually going to bring up the table that you're on. It's so whatever table you're on, it's going to say, what do you want inside of there? So we now have the date. And if you guys remember, it was to Homa bold, it was 18, and obviously it was a very yellow color. Oh, you got to click off of it first, everybody. I'm wondering, why is it not changing? 18, and it was a very yellow color once again. So 4 over, and obviously I'm going to stretch it out because you know me, that's the way it works, right? And I want to put this in the center. And so now what I'm going to do is, if you guys watch real close, you'll see lines. You guys see that blue line? That blue line basically lets me know where I'm at. So now I can take that up to the top. So now my dates will all be in the same place. We now have the page label, the layout label, and I'm going to double click on this because this is invoice. This is the invoicing solution. So we'll just say, and I want to show you guys obviously how this stuff works. So delete, 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 delete. I'm getting rid of this. We're gonna say Invoice Solution. And you can be Invoice Solution 1, Invoice Solution 2, Invoice Solution 3, whatever you want it to be. Mine will just be Invoice Solution, and I will click off of it, and there it is. So now it's in its place. These two buttons, I'm going to pick them up and move them over here on top of these two buttons. And now I've created this giant window in the middle. There's nothing going on, right? Well, this is where it gets interesting, guys. This is where things actually start to happen. What we're going to do is we need to go in. I've got an itch on my back. And I'm looking for, it should be in here somewhere, portal row. So I'm going to create a portal row or portal tool, portal row. Portal row, that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to start dragging one out the size that I want it to be, about that. Because remember, if you guys don't remember, you can't make changes to this. Once you let go of that button, you're stuck with it. See, you're stuck with it. There is nothing you can do. So we're going to show related from the invoice. And we don't necessarily allow deletion of portal row records. We can do that. We can allow the vertical scrolling. For format, it says 20 rows, so we're good to go. We can use active roll state, or we don't have to use active roll state if we don't want to. Either which one. So now this is where we have to start adding things into this, right? So we want our product ID, so we'll double click that to move it over there. We want a price, want a quantity. We don't need the state tax one over there. We can put the state tax one over there if we want to. We need the product name, that's kind of a big deal. The price total, that's kind of a big deal. And everything else is good. So now when we click it, ta-da, it automatically fills in that row. So we have the product ID, the price, the quantity, product name, and then the price total. But I don't like where those are, right? I don't like where those are. So what can we possibly do to fix this? Well, the product ID, we don't need to see the product ID. So it's okay right where it is. We can basically shrink it down a little bit. And we can take the product name, which is kind of a big thing, and we can move the product name all the way over here on top of, whoop. Make sure that you keep these inside, guys. Make sure that you keep them inside. They have to be inside of that little line. If you get them outside of the line, it does not work. So make sure that you keep those inside the line. So now if we have this product, we can go to this. We can go to our product ID. So right now it is, the fill is, we can have no color. We want no line around it. We don't want it to show up. We don't care the color of the text. We just want it to be no color of the text. And so now there's nothing there. Now we can move this box, FYI. We can take the whole box and we can move it wherever we want to. That really helps out. But we now have, why is it showing a line? Let's see. Let's exit the layout really quick. I just want to see what's going on. Okay, it's there. So now we can move our product name all the way to the edge, and it needs to be longer because I don't know about you guys, but my product names are pretty long. They usually cover a great deal of things like, soda pop with lemon twist or something. My descriptions are always pretty big. My quantities are pretty small. They're usually just a couple of numbers. So I can make this pretty small. And then the price, I can make that relatively small. If you move these over enough, you'll find out that they'll actually touch each other. And it'll show you like a little blue line that says, okay, we're touching. Now this one, we need to make sure that we go over to the data. And because it's not general data, it's actually entered as a currency. And we need to use a fixed number of decimals and the system settings. And now the total price, we want to do the exact same thing. We want to go into our data. I'm sorry, let me move this over really quick because you guys can't see what I was doing. But this time you'll be able to see it. So we went over into the data in the inspector. And now we're on general. We need to go to currency. And then fixed number of decimals, as you can see right down here. And if you go up just a little bit, all the way to the very bottom, it'll say system settings. Right here, system settings. System settings, that's what we want. Because that will keep it all the same. And now we can move this back. So now what we have is, if you guys didn't notice, we have this and this. And there's like a giant space in between them. That's exactly what we want. We want that giant space in between them. We don't want it to not have a giant space in between it. Let's just say that. Because we're going to add a button in between it. We're going to add some buttons and other things that we want to add inside of there. So now that we've got that, we can go ahead and move this up just a little bit. Because it needs to be up just a little bit. Actually, let me click on it. I'm going to go up even farther. All right. So now I need to grab my field picker. So I went over here, grabbed my field picker. I'm in the current field of register. And I need to go into my invoice number. And I want to pull that invoice number all the way down here. Make it longer. Now, this, I have to click off of it. So this part, the label, did you see how that I put a label on there by accident? I didn't mean to, but it just ended up that way. So the invoice number we can lock, but remember it's got 8 zeros, so it needs to be pretty long, right? Pretty long. And if we go into our appearance, we can say we don't want it to have any color, and we don't want a line around it. And if you guys want to have the blue, that's fine. But something that we need to do is we need to go into data, and we need to remove, here it says browse mode. As you guys can see, right here it says browse mode. We need to get rid of that browse mode, because we don't want someone to be able to change this number at all. But we do want is it to be available in a find mode, so we can find it should we need to, right? So we now have that. We already have our date, we have our invoice lock, and our security box is already here. We are ahead of the game, aren't we? By goodness, look how good we're doing. You guys are pretty amazing. I gotta tell you, pretty amazing. So we did get that, but what we want to do now is we want to go to our invoice. So we went to a related table, we went to our invoice. And so now what I want to do is down here at the bottom of this, I need to start adding something. So like my price total summary. I can grab this, but I want to go into right here where it says labels and choose the no label option because I don't really need it to be there. So the price total summary comes all the way down at the bottom. I'm going to add that right even Steven with that. But as you guys remember, if we're going to do a price total summary, I want to make sure that this is aligned to that side, just like my price total is aligned to the far side, so that they're now both aligned to the right side. So now if I take this, I want to go into my inspector and I want to go into the appearance. Well, while I'm on data, I guess, it's not available in browse mode. Perfect. We don't want it to be available in browse mode. Now we go into our into our appearance. We don't need it to have a color, and we don't need it to have a line around it. We basically want it to disappear. So no line and no fill. I'm going to move my inspector back over here, and I do apologize that you guys can't see some of it, but that's kind of weird. All of a sudden I realize Tim is floating. I'm floating in the air. Didn't mean to be floating in the air, but I was. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and move our inspector over here. So it's kind of like out of the way for now. But remember, this is a price. So we do need to go over into our data, and we do need to go down here and in general do currency. As you guys can see, I put it out there. Fixed number of decimals, system settings. You guys will remember that like till the day you die, because it's always going to be that same thing, right? And so now what we can do is we can go into our total price summary, and our subtotal are pretty much the same thing. So we're going to grab our subtotal. We're going to bring it out here. We have the state rate, which we're going to put out here. We have our grand total. And our state tax. But I want to put the state tax, so I'm going to grab this, move it down. Put our state tax right there. And then this one, I'm just trying to make sure that we get all of the things together. But what are we missing? Are we missing something here? So if you're trying to sell a product, one thing that you're going to need is, you're not just going to need the grand total, right? You're going to need to know amount tendered. So how much did that person pay you, and how much are they going to get back? Right? So amount tendered, change due. Let's go fix this really fast. So if we go into our invoice, you go up to invoice and you click on this little thing next to it, it'll take you straight there, so you don't even have to do anything. So now what we're going to do is we're going to type in amount underscore tendered, and that is a number. So we'll just control N, enter. And we need change due, change underscore due. And that is also a number, so we can do that. Now, we're not going to add the calculation currently at this time, because these are actually calculations. But because we're not creating records, it doesn't matter. We can always change it to calculation here in the near future. And we'll just go ahead and accept that. And now what we do is we go into our invoice, and we will have our amount tendered, which we can bring out, and our change due, which we can also bring out. Now, all of these should be in the same space. So if you grab them all, just like I just did, and you grab your inspector, and we went into position, you can literally take and line these up by centers. So in this, you can see align to vertical centers, what it says. So we can align to vertical centers, and we can also do something else that's pretty darn cool, and it's way over here, distribute vertically. So if they're off even by a micron, it'll make them all correct. One other thing that we need to do really quick is we need to understand that all of these in their data, with the exception of the state rate. So we would go this one, and if we hold the shift button, we could then go to this one. Oh, state rate would be wrong, right? So this one, hold the shift button, state tax, grand total, amount, change due. So all of them with the exception of the state rate, because the state rate is a fixed fixed number, right? It's very fixed. We want those all to be a currency. Fixed number of decimals, system settings. System settings. Sweet. So, and we'll just say we don't want them available in browse mode. Now if we go, the subtotal, you cannot make changes to it. It's not available in browse mode. The state rate, not available in browse mode. State tax, not available. Grand total. But the amount tendered, you're going to actually have to have that one available so you can put data into it. And the change due, you don't need to know. You don't need people to be able to change that either. Now the cool thing about this is we can take all of these if we want to, and we can either center them. If you come over here, you can look. We can either center them. We can add them to all to one side, all to one other side. Doesn't really matter. I personally myself like to leave mine on the side that they're currently on, but you can make them go to the left if you want to, or align right if you want to. And so now mine will all align to that far right side. And I don't like the size of these. These are, for me, they're wrong. So I'm going to make them a little bit different. I'm just going to kind of grab them and move them where I want them to be. And so now what we can do is we can now start to label these things. So we do need to get rid of our inspector because we don't need it. And we'll start by creating a simple label. And that label will be subtotal. And we will put that, we'll do that, see? Now if we press and hold the control button, we'll actually just create 2 of them, or 3 of them, or 4 of them, or 5 of them. But if we just leave it, did you guys see how I just left it, right? I just pulled it off. Now I'm not touching anything. Now if I type something else in there and I write in tax, it'll automatically change it to tax. So now I click off, and if I grab this one by pressing control and I move it wherever the heck I want and I let go of it, all I got to do is type in whatever else I want. So we can say total due, and I'm using little semicolons because I like the little semicolon thing. And then we click off, hold the control button, move it down. Now I'm just going to type in tendered because it's a long word. Click off. So if you guys have any question as to what I'm doing, just let me know and I will fix it. Nice tutorial, Tim. Thank you very much. So with this new tendered, what we're going to do is we need to change due, right? So we'll type in change due with the semicolon. So now we have things for everything. So we now have the subtotal, which is a total of all of the other parts. And I like these to be pretty darn close. So the subtotal will have state tax. And you know what? Don't worry about aligning them. I'll show you guys how to do that pretty quick. So the grand total would be the total due. As long as you guys are making sure that you've got that blue line underneath, that the underneath line is everything else, we'll call it good. Then tendered, we'll make sure that our texts are lining up. That's the big thing, that our text is lining up with itself, and the change due. So now if we left click, we just drag a line through all of these, we can now go into our inspector, go into our position, and we can align them all on the right edges. And it will instantaneously fix them all. Put them all in the right place where we want them to. Now, a lot of people like to make the sizes different. They're like, I want all these to be smaller, and I want my amount tendered to be giant, or the total due to be giant, or whatever the case is. Simple, easy, painless. Not a tough thing to do. You can do that. You can change the font on any of them, and you can change the color as well. So if you go into, I just want to close this inspector. If I go into the grand total, because I want the grand total to really pop, right? I want it to be a different thing. I can change it from Tahoma to a red color. So from now on, the grand total will be red. If I want to grab the red one and I want to make it bold, I can make it bold. So now it's going to stick out. As you guys can see on the page, it sticks out way more than anything else. Way more than anything else. And that's kind of what we're looking for. Now these, if you grab a hold of them by left click and drag, you'll be able to move them anywhere on the screen that you want to. So with that in mind, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and grab my administrator security box thing, and I'm going to put it over here. I'm going to grab all of these turkeys because I really kind of want them to be a little farther over here. Let me see, what do I want? I think if we put those, I like space, I'm a big space fanatic, so we can put them right there. Now we have these buttons, and what are we going to do with these buttons? Well, these buttons are good for certain things, right? So this button, for instance, can be cash sale, right? So if I double click on it, I can type the word cash. Double click on this one, I can type the word credit. And now I have cash, credit. This one I can leave it as menu. This one I can create as a split pay. I think if I do it correctly, yes, it did it. So how do you identify these? Because now you're just going, okay, what did you just do? Why did you just do that? Well, right now these buttons do absolutely nothing, so it does us no good, right? But if we take this button and we go back into our inspector, we can actually create a line. So let's go in the appearance. I want that solid line around it to be a 2, and I want it to be a very light blue color. As a matter of fact, that's kind of where it is already. A very light blue line. Then the credit one, I want that one to be, the color of that to be in 2. And I want it to be a green color. So now we have a blue one or a green one. I think we actually kind of did that one wrong though. The cash one should be the green one. And the credit one should be the blue one. And the menu button, we should make that one into a red line so that people know that it's different. And the split pay, we can leave it where we want to. Now you can move these buttons anywhere you want to. So if you want to move the buttons, fine, move the buttons wherever you want to. But you are going to need these buttons to actually do something. So when someone pays, like in this particular instance, if we now exit the layout, this is what it looks like. This is what it's going to look like on your screen. And I did want to tell you guys that tomorrow I'm going to be doing these streams a lot more often now that I can actually run the 2 programs at the same time, because I'm running my solution in my store. And the reason why we're doing this on Sundays all the time is because we were having an issue with being able to run the solution and to do this for you guys to be able to stream a solution. And so it was kind of being a pain, but I figured out how to fix that, and we now have it fixed. So hopefully everything will work just fine. So we now actually have an administrator. We have all of this, which is all going to give us our monetary values into what we want to do. We put in the amount tendered, and then pay with cash, credit, menu, or split pay. And down here, obviously, we have some numbers that you guys can't see because they're hidden. So it would be like our invoice number, our price total, blah, 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 all that other neat stuff. But we've basically created the initiation of an invoice that's going to work for you. So now, if you wanted to, you could add something into this space if you want to. This is all the buttons that I need. So a cash, a credit, and going back to the menu, go back to where I wanted to go. And then we have the split pay. Now, the split pay is, that's where you would pay like half with cash and half with a credit card. But the split pay is kind of an interesting button because I want to use the split pay button as for doing something else in addition to what I'm asking it to do right now. So what I'm going to do with the split pay button is I'm going to hold down Control. I'm going to move it over here, and I'm going to double click on that, and I'm just going to write in. This is going to be execute. This will be my execute button because I didn't change anything. So now I can actually create an execute button, and I can make it a little bit smaller so it fits where I want it to fit. So now I've got my administrator, my security button, my execute button. Now I do want to do a little button in here, and so I'll show you guys how to do that really quick. So if I want to, in this one, we'll just do a button, and it's just a little tiny button. So it's got to be pretty darn small, right? And we're just going to name this button capital X. And we're now going to make it a little bit smaller. Put it right dead in the center of this deal. The background, so we're going to our inspector really fast. Now you can do, for me, it's just a simple, easy, painless thing. I don't get all involved in I've seen people that put fancy schmancy colors in there. They did all kinds of fancy schmancy stuff. I like to just do just a basic da-da-da. I like to grab, I'm going to do this one in Bookman Old Style because I like the Bookman Old Style X. And I'm watching it in the camera so I can actually see the X moving. And I want to get the X perfectly in the center. We're going to make it yellow, and we can make it bold if we want to, which just makes it pop even more. Now, to me, that's all you need. You don't need anything special or fancy with that. And now we have a button. So now what we have is we have the price, we have a button, and we have the X price. So I will tell you right now, there are some things we need to add. So we're going to take this button and we're going to move it over here until what we're looking for is a little blue line, and that blue line will happen right here. So watch the screen closely. Right there on the edge of this, there will be a little blue line, not a giant blue line, not a big one, but just a little one that just sticks out just a little over the box. And what that does, I wish I could like zoom in on that and show you, but what that does is that tells you that you've just touched another object that's near you. The only other way to do that would be to put lines around everything so that you could visually see them and then touch it. But this way, it lets you know that it's there. It's right up against that other box. And that's kind of what we want. We are missing, like I said, we are missing a few things. And we will come back to this, but this is the basic layout that we're going to create and the basic layout that we're going to have for our system. So I did want to, I think, move that right there. I'm happy with that. 39 minutes. Make your stream on your phone. Nice tutorial. What? What do you mean make my stream on my phone? What are you saying 39 minutes, Tim, for? You know what you have to do in 39 minutes. I don't have, oh, and 39 minutes is the Totally Tim show. Yes, you're right. 39 minutes is the Totally Tim show. But actually, anyway, this video is over with for today. So tomorrow, don't forget, well, not tomorrow, but soon I will be doing these several times a week now, so that you guys can see what we're doing, and you guys will, it won't be so far apart, because I was doing them every Sunday. Now I intend on doing one every couple of days, so we can hopefully get this done much faster. And make sure that you guys pay attention and that you know what's going on. So do make sure that you subscribe to the channel. That's number one. Hit the little bell so you guys know when I'm live and when something's happening. And if you have questions, just write them in the comments below. I will answer every single one of your questions, no matter what, when they are down there, or I will like them, or I will let you know what's going on, so that you guys can enjoy and not be left behind. So you guys can be full of what knowledge you need to know to make these things happen. So as you can see, the page looks pretty good. I'm very happy with that. And we're still doing our templates. And the reason why we're doing our templates is because we want to make sure that if you're using a multiple store application, please make sure, please make sure, you guys, that you're doing templates right now. Don't be building your primary pages. Only build your templates. Because once we get the templates done, then we're going to start building our pages. And those pages are just going to be mirror images of our templates, yes, but they're going to have different information on them. They're going to be all kinds of things. Art, it's good to have you here. USA, very good to have you here as well. But we will see you guys in the next video. A couple of days from now, we will see you in the next video. Hopefully, I hope that you guys enjoyed the video. I hope I have given you enough information that you can continue. If you guys, like I said, if you guys need to know something, just let me know in the comments below. I appreciate you guys so very much. And now you can see that we now have our templates both done for our menu. Got our menu page. It looks pretty good. We've got these wonderful buttons that you can now open up. And so make sure you guys stay tuned for the next one. The next one, we're going to do some refining. We're going to start bringing this thing into focus, and we're going to start doing some scripts. So pay attention to that. We're going to be showing you guys how to do some scripts and actually start writing the program so that we can make it work. It's not going to take long, but we also have inventory to do, so make sure you stay tuned for that as well. So until the next time, you guys be good to each other, and thank you so very much. Until next time, bye.